let's go ahead and get started. So welcome to Crossing the Streams.
I am Virginia
You're at the
Beamer.
top of the list.
Okay. This is a brand new presentation that was literally put together, finished last night.
Yeah, last night.
And
Yeah.
so we are gonna be a little like looking at each other like, okay, who's
Yeah.
first, right?
Our transitions will be a little bit wonkier than normal, which, as you know, mine are already wonky. Hers are fine, but
Okay, so again, I am Virginia Beamer. I am the State Center's union president, classified professionals union president. I also work in financial aid, so you guys may see me sending you guys emails talking about fraud students. You guys are safe. I just need some clarification. So, yes, so that's.
and I'm Keith Ford. I am president of the faculty union, which is State Center Federation of Teachers, represents both full-time and part-time. And it's not this kind of crossing the streams. No, it's this kind. So extra bonus power. We did not, because we just got the Ghostbusters theme idea like 2 weeks ago. We were like, we need to cosplay. Can't find anything. We don't have. So if we do this again, we will cosplay. I never did. You had the idea that we would cosplay as each other, and I was like, you have to tell me how to dress then.
That'd be fun.
So some of this presentation, if you've been to one of our joint presentations before, some of it overlaps, but a lot of it's new. And one of the things that's new are these hard questions that we want to ask, and we just want to talk with you. So working here used to mean retiring here, right? That people did not leave. Does it still? Somewhat. Okay. And then the question, so how many does it still mean retiring here? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Kind of, there's some ambivalence. What about the Zoom room? Yeah. Like, I don't know, reactions. So thumbs up would be good. Mark. Yeah. Mark has been here a long time.
29 years.
Okay.
Oh, my husband talks about that.
Yes. Yeah. So
yeah.
Mark, you have two former students. So Virginia's husband was a student of yours, and then I was a student of Mark's way back. So
yes, I'll retire here.
Okay.
Whenever that is, that could be decades from now. Never know.
So even though a lot of people, faculty, it's great when you're here and you're tenured, right? That's kind of where your guys' goal is. And then why would you leave? On the classified side, I'm finding in a lot of conversations, that's not the case so much anymore. We used to have a love and enjoyment of the job. I still kind of do, and I'm holding on to hope. You know, we're going to see a lot of transitions and a lot of changes, and I hope for the best. But we're getting burnt out. We feel undervalued still. And so a lot of people are here, it's just a job. They're losing that love, that want, and now it's just a need. Without that want, it's not as fun. So it gets a little bad.
Yeah. And I mean, we have seen, so Virginia mentions tenure, and tenure is great and we want to protect it, but we've had tenured people leaving, which never used to happen. And so I think there is something to this that, not everyone was super excited and said, yes, I'm totally going to retire here.
Right.
A few people. But so how do we get that back? What's missing?
Stop admin turnover every 2 years.
Okay, admin turnover is a problem?
Because every time a new administrator comes in, every time a new president comes in, every time a new dean comes in, things change. But when you're not tenured, those things can be devastating to you.
True.
Morale.
Faculty morale, yeah. How do we boost that though, Becky? I mean, like,
Faculty need to have a little more respect from administrators. It used to
Okay.
be a really good relationship.
okay, yeah, so,
That's what I heard yesterday. I did have a meeting. I'm tired. I had another meeting right after my full 8 hours, and then I didn't get home until about 9:45, and then I jumped into this presentation. So yay. But when I was talking to some of the faculty at that meeting, what they were saying was, they felt exactly like you did. And yesterday during convocation was kind of the first time they saw that little spark of
yeah.
being respected or being like cared to. So, and that's what I'm hearing. So it's not just you. And as a classified, to hear that, from faculty, I was just like, whoa, it's bad for you guys
You kind of like,
too.
welcome to our world, right?
Three loves company, right?
Together. But yeah.
Yeah, I know. So yesterday's convocation, not so much CarolCon, but yesterday's convocation was, oh, sorry, that's not my coinage. That's been around. We're making t-shirts. Anyway, yeah, that was kind of a breath of fresh air. And I actually texted the acting president. I said, thank you for not treating us like idiots and bad actors.
Yeah.
But that was the first time in a while that I remember.
Respecting disciplines and,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so I mean, but she's not applying to full time, so it's hard.
I'm gonna see.
How many people was I'm gonna say?
Yeah, you want her back?
No.
Oh, okay,
Maybe she
fine.
turned over to me, please. But you know what, Keith, I don't think everybody gets the same deal. When I went to the CT side of things, which is over the applied division, I have 300+ semester units. I'm highly qualified for a lot of positions. My love is in the shop. I got a shop position and basically they told me when I hired in, I was a professional. They were there to support me, ask for the things I need and take care of my students, and they'd never talk to me. That's what I got. And then 4 years later, they called me and they said, by the way, you're a tenure now and just ask for the things you need. I figured out that you know how to teach and I mean, buzzing once in a while, but hardly ever.
Wow.
So I don't have a dictatorial dean at all.
That's great.
She admits that she's not a professional in every trade there is. And so we should run the class.
Wow.
Well, Sam.
I mean, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this, you never, like the one they had here in humanities, oh man, and now we're losing her. I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's the best thing I've ever had.
Yeah, well, I mean, to come back to Bill's point, right? Admin turnover seems to be a thing, right?
It's
So-
It's kind of like FCC breeds excellent leaders that then get the.
Go up.
they go.
Yeah.
Lead someone.
So,
Maybe one of the reasons why we're losing them, same reason why we lose students. They don't feel they belong here.
Yeah.
Maybe we need more mentorship, you know, with
Could
the
be.
new hires. I mean, a one-on-one mentorship. I know that's been a discussion for a long time, but I don't see it happening.
Peter, what were you gonna say?
I was just, we were talking about deans, and I remember the dean when I left Fresno Pacific 10 years ago, it was, and my wife would remind me, he came from industry, he has PhD, and he moved into higher ed elsewhere where it was mostly online stuff, but he was kind of in the weeds when it came to working at a residential small university, you know, and we were all just like, we pull our hair out at the same time. My wife would remind me, yeah, but he protects you guys and he supports you guys. And so don't wish for something. We thought, yeah, you're right. He looks out for us. He was in the weeds with stuff and we helped him, you know, I had to school him, but it drove us nuts. But at the same time, we were thinking back and saying, yeah, but you know what? It's just fast and making sure, trying to keep the crap out of our way and, you know. So
Yeah,
my
yeah.
wife said, be careful what you wish for. And you say, hey, look, you know.
True, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a mixed bag.
and I think it's like for everything, we have some great leaders. As presidents, we hear everything all the time across the way. And so sometimes he may be the only one that understands what it is that I'm going through, or the frustrations, and not being able to talk or to say anything. It's just like, so we've gotten really, really close. From that thing.
But I mean, one of the other problems that I've seen is not only is there turnover, but there's also this ballooning out of director teams. So, and this is something that maybe you're not aware of. Maybe it's worth saying. So pre-COVID, so 2019, the district had 16 deans. How many do we have now? Yeah, we have 29.
Wow.
Yeah, we have 29 and directors that have been added and like associates. Almost doubled our deans in 4 years.
Now, when you say dean, you mean people with the title dean and may not be to an academic division.
Right. Yeah.
Youth directors.
Yeah, but I do mean title of dean.
Yeah.
So you have dual enrollment deans, trio, there's a trio dean out in Reedley, but academic deans haven't increased. So there's an interesting gap here. Anyway, so let's hold on to the hard questions and hold on to the idea that maybe things could be better. And maybe, just maybe, we have the power to do something about that. So here's the slimy agenda, right? Which means we're not going to stick to it, although it will stick to you. So we'll talk larger context, locals backstory, classism, moving from I'm just, and then shared fights and victories. Okay, so this is Virginia.
You guys have no idea how excited I was when I saw this, because he knows I love, love, love Paul Rudd. So. Who doesn't? He's my hall pass.
Your whole pass on the top of your list.
Yeah, very, very tip top.
Also, all right, so go for it.
Yeah, it's excited. Okay, so again, a little bit about me. You know how people always ask, Rosemary, tell me a little bit about yourself. I'm just like, does that mean like personally? Does that mean, educationally, professionally? So I'll give you a little bit of both. Yeah, my FCC story. So I actually started as department secretary in financial aid. I haven't left financial aid. Love, love, love financial aid because it's difficult. I came from the county of Fresno working in welfare collections. So when they said they needed a new secretary with a little backbone, I was definitely like a shoo-in, like who's going to have more oomph than me working in welfare collections, right? So anyway, I started there, and then the only student interaction I had was when they would get really, really upset and they would want to talk to my director. But by the time they got to me, I was able to calm them down, explain the situation. They didn't have to talk to my director because I was able to fix everything. I needed more student interaction. And then I left my very cushiony, I perfected the job. But I wanted to throw myself into the fire pit in financial aid specialist, where we're actually working with Department of Ed and its rules and its changes. And 24-25 sucks. 25-26 is going to suck even more, just an FYI. But so I needed the student interaction. As far as my activism goes, I kind of just jumped in wholeheartedly. I think I was after I passed probation, and then I started getting into classified Senate. From classified Senate, I didn't get into CSEA for the right reasons. I don't know who's online, so I'd rather not say why. So once I got in, then I saw there was no transparency. There was no real, I guess there was a stain from one of the, prior presidents. And I wanted to change it. I wanted the union to be more than just complaints and grievances and negotiations. And it is, and it's great for that. But there was no sense of community. Everybody was only going to some of the luncheons because, okay, this is my free. So we're trying to change all of that. And then I kind of like a little bit of control. So I wanted to be the president so that I can make sure that, okay, this needs to be done. And, you need a strong leader in order to make that change with getting all the pushback. So I became the president, and now it's a little bit hard to kind of let that go, but I think eventually I'm going to have to let that go. But my activism, so not only am I the president, but I am also LFSA treasurer. I am also site VP for the Rainbow Alliance. And that's because once upon a time, I didn't have a voice. And so now that I do, I want to be that voice for those people that still haven't found it yet. So I just throw myself into everything. I'm a little tired a lot of the times, but caffeine and beer, it always helps. You guys remember Sparks alcoholic energy drinks? Those were the jam. So anyway, sorry. So this is a little slang thing, like bring it back, squirrel. Okay.
So here's the question. Your personal story with FCC goes further back than that, though.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna get in my feels. Once upon a time, I was a CalWorks student and I was doing the welfare to work. So, going through my programs, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't want to do just computerized accounting. I want to do this. So I kept changing and I kept moving up and up and up. Well, this is actually where I met my husband as well. So FCC is where we kind of got our shit together. And then we've been together in March, it'll be 20 years. So, we both felt we needed to give back to FCC because this is kind of where our beginning was. So that's why I'm still here. And that's why I'll always stay here. So if you guys see me leave, then it's really, really bad here.
You don't retire out here.
Yes. I'm completely invested. And especially if I have pictures like that,
We'll give you a framed one.
yay.
Okay, so this is me. So my personal story is actually similar. I met my wife here back in 98. So we've been married for 25 years. And I remember you talking about administrators leaving. And I'm sorry if you've heard this story, but I remember when I was 18 reading an article that said we are training all of our best and brightest, and then they're leaving to LA and Los Angeles. Or LA and San Francisco. I'm obviously not one of the best and brightest. If I just said LA and Los Angeles. Anyway, but no, I remember that, and I read it to one of my friends who was a music major, and she said, "Well, yeah, I'm out of here as soon as I can." And I said to myself, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay, because how is it ever going to get better? And so I did leave to go to grad school, but then I came back. And I came back because, you know, as fun intellectually as Berkeley was to go to grad school, it was also disgusting. And the disgusting part was the classism, which we're going to talk about later. But I always knew that I grew up working class and working poor. I was never made to feel that until I went there. So this supposed liberal Mecca, I actually had people box me out of conversations when they found out they had nothing to say, or turn on their heel and walk away from my wife when they found out that she stayed at home and homeschooled the kids because they had nothing to tell her. So here is where where I see evidence of people actually accepting each other, not tolerating each other. And here's where I think I can make a difference. So my activism I've been in unions for a long time. I was grad student union, but before that, my mom was a CSEA chapter president, which is why I'm like CSEA all the time, right? We need to bond, right? I remember like being under the table doing my homework and playing Legos and things like that while negotiations were going on. And I got here, I started working as an organizer with SCFT on January 17th of, what would that have been, 2021? Which was what date, if you're, 2017, sorry, 2017. It's Trump's inauguration day. And so I came in, I was like, I'm ready, right? Anyway, I ended up being secretary treasurer, and when the past president, Lacey Barnes, was ready to step down, I went to a couple of other people who I thought would do a better job. One of them's in the room today. And I said, would you please run for president? I said, no, I don't want to leave the classroom. I like it. And so I talked to Lacey and I said, well, a part-timer can't be president, but I'd run if I could, because I was part-time at the time. And she said, sure you could. So I ran. Yeah, so that's me. And my other activism, I do a lot in the community around affordable housing and homelessness. I do a lot with the clean transition and green transition. So we're going to be having a summit here at the end of the month to talk about gigawatts for good jobs. Talk about the 100,000 acres that is going to be fallowed on the west side to put up a 30 gigawatt solar farm. 30 gigawatts, second largest in the world. It was going to be the largest, and then China beat us. Anyway, so this has tremendous potential to change the economy in the area, and we want to make sure that happens in a just way. So that's me. So larger context, I want to kind of fit us in here. Labor's having a moment. I don't know if you've noticed that. Well, I know Paul has noticed because we talk about this all the time. But holy shit, a sitting president was on a picket line. Now, whatever else you think about Biden, no one else has ever done that. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Right? Major strike activity increased. The UAW has a really strong leader. I mean, shit, SAG-AFTRA has a really strong leader. I never thought I'd like the nanny, but I love her. I love her, right? This is really impressive. I mean, and Sean Fain is now talking about what if we all coordinate, what if all labor unions coordinated their contracts to end on May 1st, 2028?
Can you imagine?
What if we all did that and we all said, we could all stop? So here's a little bit of backstory, and we haven't rehearsed this part, but so it'll be a little wonky, but this is a shirt that we made, I think back in '09. Paul, do you remember? 9 or 10? I asked Maria, who's the previous chief negotiator, and that's around what she thought. So 10, 15 years ago. And you can see there's the 3 bargaining units, CSEA, POA, and us. And it's supposed to be this idea that we are one. Now, I want to ask my classified sister, was that true?
No.
No.
No, so even when I got here, there was this whole division, faculty versus classified, right? And then it wasn't until I started getting involved with faculty that it was full-time versus part-timers.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa, why are we doing this? And if it wasn't for Keith, actually, I didn't know. I'm just trying to learn my role as the new president, but he's just like, hey, let's get together. I think we can do some real good together. Like he tried reaching out to some of the past presidents and they're like, okay, yeah, sure, but no. And then so I think it really took our personalities and us wanting to actually make that change in order for us to actually get to the point that we're at right now. And so that's kind of where it started. It started when I became the president. So it's an election year.
Yeah.
So this is the end of my 4th term and no, 4th year, 2nd term. And so ever since, so about a good 4 years ago now, we've actually been collaborating and doing all kinds of like a lot of really good stuff together.
So, and I want to, this is also not planned, but Karina, are you on Zoom?
Yes, I'm on here. Keith, hi.
Okay, just a little bit of backstory. So Karina is our vice president for part-time affairs with the Federation, with the union. But Karina was classified before she became faculty. And so I wanted to ask her about this as well. So what's your perspective, Karina?
Well, several years ago, I was actually more involved with Classified Senate, and Susie Nitzel was president of Classified from Fresno City at the time. And we had collaborated and started doing like joint presentations in the board meetings. And then eventually I moved on to CSEA and I was a job steward before I left. And because I went back to school and that's how I'm back now. And I'm now adjunct over at Reedley College. So I don't think that classified and faculty had any collaborations going on during those timeframes that I was involved with Senate or even CSEA. And I always thought why, but I'm not too sure as to why we were not. And I remember those T-shirts, the no division, and I was like, that's a great thought, but what is happening to create those collaborations and to show that unity and to show that we are not divided, because we definitely have been. And I've been with the district since 2001 in various roles, from student worker, provisional to part-time, and then full-time classified before I became adjunct. So I've been around for quite some time. Started off at Fresno City over at CTC, Career and Technology Center, and before I went over to Reedley College in 2006. So I've been around for quite some time, and there has always been a division, and it's always been, faculty is in one area or one silo and classified was in another. And one thing that I remember when I did become adjunct and I started talking to some of my fellow former coworkers in classified, they're like, oh, you went to the dark side, So I'm like, why does it have to be that way? Why can, we create that bridge and collaborate together? Because, creating a collaboration is going to show more unity and more power. So when we do have negotiations, we can have that backing, like, no, our memberships across campus is unified on this stance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Karina. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, and let me be clear, This is not us like crapping on previous efforts at Unity and previous efforts at working. We want to talk about the stubborn reality here. Go ahead. I think I cut you off.
I said nothing.
Oh, you did? Okay. So again, there were efforts, but apparently, at least for a few classified staff, I mean, shoot, the faculty, we always say when people go to admin, they're the dark side. Did you know that we were the dark side?
Yes.
I was admin for 20 some years.
You came back to the light.
And
He came to the light.
my last gig was as the acting HR director over there, and I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore, because that was the worst year of my life. I'd also been teaching for years along with it here.
Yeah.
I saw both sides, and I could sympathize with both sides. I understood the dilemmas that administrators had. You know?
Yeah.
But then I hear, oh, faculty, but then I went back and oh, administration. You know? And I'm saying, well, okay, one thing is we do need to kind of have some sympathy with each other, but I tend to kind of this way a little more.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten much closer to actually a passion around age, but as I've gotten this age, I've become pretty much unafraid to be cynical about what I consider absurdity. I have a very low tolerance for the absurd. And you know, speak out about that. So,
And we're glad.
but anyway, but no, I don't see this as a dark side. I don't necessarily see that one as either,
Mhm.
but a lot of times I see it as a guidance.
Yeah, true. Bill, you look like you had something to say.
When you guys talk admin, or like when you were saying admin, are we talking like deans and presidents, or are we talking people that work in the offices like the people that work in the division offices? What are we talking?
No, when we talk about admin, we're talking about like deans and
Over
presidents.
things.
Yeah.
Because I tell admins.
No, support staff is classified. That's, yeah.
Okay. I tell admins when they come in, make friends with the people in each one.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Because your life gets a hell of a lot better. It really
Yeah.
does. And not only that, you get seen. You're not,
Mhm.
you don't fall through the cracks like most bad guys do.
That's true. Yeah.
Actually, if I may, one of
sure.
the things, when I went over full-time faculty years ago, most of them were great, and we were fine, but, you know, I talked with the ones like financial aid director, and they were all friends of mine, you know, and I worked with them, and in the registrar's office, and the registrar and I would do a little running around and around with what was legal, and we had fun doing it, but I would oftentimes hear from them, not presidents and deans or whatever, but them, that, gee, you know, so great you come over here, you just seem to work with us so well and all that. I said, well, because I know someday I may have to, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, when I used production a whole lot more years ago than I did now, I always went, hey, you guys rock, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
And then the one time I only had like a day and a half, oh, we can do that.
Yeah, but it's because you built that relationship.
And when I was teaching management class, I tell my students, be that way.
Mhm.
Be that way.
Yeah. No, and that's actually one of the, you're hitting on one of the themes is that we need to be more in relationship with each
But
other.
then when we get it,
But the classified people, I'm sorry, they make this stinking place work.
Yeah.
And we, as instructors, we need to.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been, you know, there have been people who've known that for a long time. I mean, so Mark, do you remember Don Larson?
I remember.
Yeah,
Yes, I
remember
do.
Don?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he used to say in his classes, right, I can go on sabbatical for 6 months and no one will notice, but if the janitor's gone for 2 weeks, you'll definitely notice. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think, you know, not using the term support staff might be.
No, that's true.
Because you used
Yeah.
that term and I thought, well,
Yeah,
you're not there to support us. We should be a team.
that's true. Yeah, no, thank you for the correction. Yeah, classified professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are professional.
They are, absolutely.
So what I did like when we go back really quick,
No, actually.
some of the whole unity thing and us working together is, so in our talks, we were just like, okay, how can we found that there was a lot of misconceptions from faculty to classified to faculty. And so, in our original presentation, which was a great idea, it was breaking down the silos or breaking the silos. Not to be gangster or some, he comes up with all these clever titles. So, in that, it was like, you know, we were getting faculty, like, what is the misconception about your, you know, classified? And then we would break that down and then we're like, And then vice versa. And then there's that clarity. And then so it's just removing those misconceptions actually help us understand one another a lot better. But that was one of the really, really good things that we were finding. And then with those gone, then we're just like, oh, hey, like we can go ahead and do this. And just like admissions and records, you need help with the grade and you're just calling anybody admissions and records. Well, there's like 5, 7 different classifications, admissions and records. Not everybody can do that one thing that you're asking for. Maybe it's only 3 and you're talking to the wrong person and then you're upset at these 5 people that you've talked to saying nobody in there wants to help me. But it's because it's not that we don't want to help you. That's just not a part of our job.
But whenever I email you guys or, well, any of them, I'm like, I'm not sure I'm emailing the right person. If not, just send me in that direction.
And that is
I mean-
exactly what it is that we need to hear, because just that little bit of like kindness. And then we were like, oh, okay, no, that's actually this person. Let me go ahead and do like a friendly setup, or, you know, here is their email, or here is their extension and stuff like that. Or I'll go ahead and I'll tap them on the shoulder and I'll go ahead and forward that email for you.
So, yeah.
Just a clear workflow would be nice.
So
Yeah.
last spring, I was doing like a lot of subbings and I took out, and my paychecks were coming out like microscopic.
Mm.
And so I reached out to the dean and I got shoved aside, and I think I even went to lunch with Lori's and nothing happened. Or she said that it was whose job it was. Anyway, they had those office hours with HR. And I finally went there and they're like, well, payroll isn't our problem, but we will put you in touch. So one person in there took it over and got my payback.
I'm glad. All right, so let's, in the interest of time and to get to our hard question number 2,
Yeah.
let's talk about the stubborn reality, which is not working now. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now it's probably going to jump like 5 slides. So this is the true. I think we all know this. There's baked in classes. It's baked into the academy, and there's an abundance of research that supports the existence of classism's effects on students. There's almost nothing on how it affects us, how classism impacts the workers within an institution, and be perpetuated even unconsciously by its workers. Right? This is not unique to our district, but it's worth looking at in depth in our district. And this is Paul, you probably know more of the history of the graphics of it, but if you can't see it, this is the pyramid of capitalism. It's a French thing. So it's on top. This is we rule you, and then the next one down is we fool you. We shoot at you, we eat for you, and then we work for all and we feed all. Right. So classism, and this is kind of a throwback to the last presentation that we did, but it's relevant still. Classism assumes that one's income, among other things, correlates to one's intrinsic value, okay, as a human being. American classism gets worse because it's heavily influenced by meritocracy. So more money equals harder worker equals a more moral person. So someone in the reverse who is poor must be somehow lazy and deserving of that. And none of this is true. None of this is true, but it is baked into the academy. Just to come back to my own story, right? Going to, the finest public education, institution in the world and being boxed out of conversation. It's there. And FCC has it as well. The district has it as well. So I did not mean for this to be that small. I'm sorry. So this is just acknowledging the differences. I don't know. Do you want to take this one? Or I can read it. Okay.
I left my glasses at home.
Okay. So essentiality. So college revenue hinges on FTES, primarily FTES, which is generated by the amount of students that a teacher teach. So you could say, well, teachers are the income generators, right? And here's that story from Don Larson again, though. We can't do our job. We cannot bring those FTES into the college without all of the classified professionals who make this place work. So everybody, I started to refer to all of us as educators because we all are. And I mean, Virginia does a lot of education at the financial aid desk, a lot. And a lot of like student service work. So it's sort of a hybrid between education and counseling. So nearly all faculty, this is now our education, so essentiality, education, nearly all faculty are required to have master's degrees. There's some exceptions to that. Competition makes a doctorate more likely. Half of our full-timers have PhDs and more than half of our part-timers have PhDs. More than half of our part-timers have PhDs because the market is flooded. But that means that, it takes 6 to 10 years of higher education to get there. So we tend to start full-time 34, 35, even 37 now. I started when I was 39. I just met an old friend of mine from elementary school who's tenure track now. He's 46. Right? We're starting later. Classified jobs usually require an associate's or bachelor's, and they enter the sector around 27. So what does that mean?
Here first.
They're here first, and they're here younger. How old were you when you started?
I'm going on I'm completing my 8th year. So I started in 2016. But yeah, when there's very little jobs for classified positions where you just need a high school diploma. Even our custodians, they have to have certain certificates, and grounds have to have certain certificates. You have to have your high school diploma, of course. You don't have to have an associate's per se, but you have to take like a class and be certified to, I can't think of what it is, but even now, some of our jobs that we're thinking were some entry level, you actually now need more credentials just to be in there.
Yeah.
And while we are here, we finally on this last contract round, we were able to get our professional development and all of the education that we received after being here for 3 years. But from the start of our job, we're getting more stipends for the amount of credits that we're taking now. So at first it capped at 60, like, okay, well, that's enough for an associate's or a bachelor's. But if you already come in with an associate's or a bachelor's, you get no credit for that at all whatsoever. So that is now changing. And so now we are, moving up and we're getting more degrees. I decided to go back and finish my bachelor's. Not like I don't have 20 million things to do, but so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do that because eventually I think maybe I want to be management and then make this world a better place starting at FCC. But so yeah, we need to do some of this stuff. So yeah, we have our masters, we have our PhDs, we have so we do these things as well.
Yeah.
And all the work.
All the work. I want to go back to what Rob said. So if you have somebody who's been here for 20 years, well, actually, let's say you have somebody who's 50. On the faculty side, they've maybe been here 10, 15 years. Classified side, they could have been here for 25 or even longer.
Mhm.
And so as any new faculty member will tell you, and there's a couple of faculty who are fairly new here, learning all the ins and outs of these places is like 90% of the job, right? 90% of the battle is like, where is everything? Who do I talk to? And classified professionals tend to know that better than faculty because they've been here longer. And so the reason that this is highlighted is because the health insurance premiums are kind of screwy right now because we're in open enrollment and we're changing plans. But I just want to highlight the disparity here. So full-time faculty make an average of 116 a year, more or less. Last year, so this is last year's data. The healthcare annual premium cost us about $5,000, which is 5.2% of the income. For classified, they have the exact same healthcare plans, but they make about 71K average a year. And so that's the equivalent of 14% of their income. So there's also, remember, I've talked about these baked in inequities. They make less, but they have to pay the exact same amount. Okay.
Don't get me started on chancellor, vice chancellors, presidents, vice presidents.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
They pay the exact same amount, but they're.
Well, the chancellor doesn't even have to pay. No, that's the appropriate reaction. Yeah.
Oh, no. After this last negotiations round, she's regretting that too.
Yeah, she should. It's an easy target.
Yeah.
No, her full premium is covered. She's the only one.
Yeah.
Her full premium is covered, but she also gets a matching donation to a 403B.
Yeah.
So she gets $1,490 a month to her healthcare. She also gets $1,490 additional to a 403B. Like you don't already have enough. What's the salary now, Paul? 378, I
I
think?
thought it was with all the benefits combined, it's over 400.
Oh, yeah, with everything combined, it's like 440 or something like that, yeah. I think base salary is 378.
Yeah, base is that.
Yeah.
That's not, I don't think that's including all the, you know, the clothes, the car, the travel, the.
I like the idea that there's a pantsuit.
Don't get this wrong. I absolutely love Chancellor. We get along really, really well. So it's not a knock. It's just truth,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
It's the true, like you
Yeah.
said.
But that's on the trustees who allowed that conduct.
That's true. And we'll hold on to that thought.
Yeah.
Hold on to that thought. So,
They get free healthcare after they've served.
yeah.
And
the third
that's
term.
why we tried really, really
And then
hard
his
to not allow Bobby Kahn to get that third term.
And he didn't.
And he did not.
Yeah.
He's
So-
so mad about it.
Really quickly. Okay. I know he's. I still get
Okay.
angry Madeira letters. Anyway. Also full-time faculty, we work 178 days a year on contract. Of course, we're researching and things like that, but classified staff work 225. So almost 50 days more.
Yeah,
So
no spring break for us, no summers off. The only time that we get off is Christmas Day through New Year's, and then that's our in lieu holidays. And so that's the only time that we are all off, unless, you know, it's the holidays and stuff like that. So.
stuck again. I think it needs new batteries. There we go. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So hard question number 2. And we kind of already answered this a little bit, right? Becky gave me a very, very good correction. But how do we help each other move from I'm just? And what I mean by that is I'm just, and we used to do this with part-time as well, I'm just a part-timer, or I'm just a financial aid worker. How do we move from the I'm just to I'm equally essential?
You have to grab your internal power, just accept it, walk through that door like you're the one.
Listen.
I think that if your perception is that you're a part of something, but you're not included in the whole, because I'm just a part-timer, but that's where I want to be. I mean, but I want to be valued as being part of the thing. And
Yeah.
I teach nursing, so I teach my students all the time, you're part of a healthcare team. It's not, you're just a nurse. It takes the janitors, it takes the cafeteria, it takes the doctors, it takes everybody to produce good healthcare.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think what you're saying is it takes everybody to do education too.
That's all well and good, it's self-identified, doesn't mean it's actually going to be seen that way from somebody else who's not you.
Yeah. Well, and that's why there's the we, right?
But you
So-
can start working on changing the perception.
Yes,
True.
exactly, because I'm just financial aid and he's just an instructor, right? So I'm just a financial aid, and then I had to change that and make it into a positive spin.
Sure.
I am just the person that is responsible to ensure that a student has their fee waiver, has the money for the books, that can afford to come to college so that they can sit in his class. So in changing that perception, even though it starts with one, but saying this out loud, and there's, I don't know how many people on Zoom and you people in the room,
70.
and now it's just like, okay, well, yeah, I am just a custodian, but I am making sure that there is nothing to trip over. I'm making sure that you have stuff in the restrooms, and I'm making sure that you this, so.
No, it needs, so language, is so much connected to culture. Just take out the word just.
Yeah.
And that's what he's been forcing me to, yeah.
I was gonna say that too. I'm like, yeah, it's hard.
No, just
Right?
It's really, really hard, but it's those baby steps, because sometimes people can't just take that leap, right? And there's the I'm just again, we just can't do this, and so little steps. One day I won't say I'm just.
But you mentioned finding your voice as part of your introduction. I
Mhm.
think that finding, everybody finding their voice and making it loud enough to be heard,
There you go.
is also a good start.
I'm very loud.
One of one thing is, of course, seeing everybody, and that's from the perception part, not the internal part. Seeing everybody as a person, not a role.
Right.
That's all the way back.
Yeah.
I like that.
And the other thing was when I did do my 2-year stint in purgatory, I looked at the institution and I said, I really want to instill a concept here that we're not, because there are those, especially administration and board members, well, we need to run this like a business. Okay, but I said, we're not just a business, we're a town. Because look, we have, in the case of Civic or even Reedley College, we have housing, we have food services, we have retail, we have a police department, we have, I said, the students aren't our only customers. We're also our customers to each other.
Yep.
I go up to a counter and I, get waited on or because I need something, or I
Right.
call somebody, or I request something, or they come to me and ask for something. And I said, we need to remember that it just isn't our students, it's all of us. We're all customers of each other. And if we treat each other from the point of view of a positive customer service, even each other, then maybe we're making a step. And I really push that because that's how I saw it.
I think we should figure out what other people do. I think that's one thing,
Yeah.
rather than just isolating yourself in your own, whatever it is you're doing. Figure out what other people do. But like I said, I made friends with the people in the office. Because being in the military, I knew that people in the office were probably going to be able to help me more than the people in my fellow servers.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So, and I got to know them and they got to know me, and it's just like, people are starting to see me. So I think you have to make yourself visible to somebody else besides people that are around you.
Yeah. I mean, so one of the other things that's baked in that we didn't really talk about, sort of captured with classism, is this baked in provincialism, right? Which is that we like people who are like us. And so,
It's easier.
yeah, it's easier. English people tend to hang out with English people. Like, that these are the people I went to school with. They're the people that I know, that, I hang out with Paul too, but when he lets me. But, we tend to hang out with people in our own discipline. So, I mean, there's also this siloing even within departments where financial aid people, I mean, one of your best friends is right there next to you,
Yeah,
right?
but I'm also a social freaking butterfly, and I have so many fields that I can go to because I don't see things like that, and where I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna stick with my financial aid people. No, I'm out there. So I hang out with Paul too.
Hang on one second, Mark.
When he lets me.
Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
Keith, just something, yesterday, we started back and me and Robert DeVoe Peterson are co-chairs of the department. And one of the things that Robert and I talked about over the summer, and I kind of announced it to the department in kind of a nice way, is that, we've gone through this pandemic, keep everything in Zoom and a big distance and everything. And I get that why we did this, but we continued on with it even in the last year or two, which is like, we would have Zoom meetings. So I said, you know what, Robert and I talked, we're the chairs. This first meeting, because it's after the next one, we're going to do it in the conference room on school. The next one after that in October, we'll do a Zoom. And then the one before Thanksgiving, I want to do it at a restaurant. I want to get a room someplace. If you can't, we'll bring a laptop. You could Zoom in if you really can't make it or whatever. But we need to take efforts in all of our departments to bring people in. I said, it's not to replace the little party that the potluck at the end of the semester with the, at the dean's office. It's something for us to do as a department and try to encourage other departments and other people to do those things, because we've been, like you said, siloed. We've been individually categorized to saying, oh, it's so convenient. I can turn off my camera and I can go down the hallway and come back and say, hey, that was nice. But we're missing the personal contact.
Yeah.
And that goes with whether it's an administrative assistant, classified. When I started, and I go back history, whatever, okay, classified people were not invited to come to the back to school meeting on Thursday.
Yeah.
And that took a long time. And now you look and say, guess what, classified? You get to come too. Now we all kind of commiserate. What did you call it? Carol Con. Anyway. But my
I like
point
that you
is,
referred to notes. Thank you for writing it down.
right. That's right. But my point is that we have come and we have made changes. And I want everybody to hear that sound. We have made changes. We can always do better. You know what? One of the things I did love about Wednesday, which it wasn't about going downtown, that wasn't it. But the theme of kindness and empathy. My mom always told me as a kid, if you have an opportunity to do an act of kindness, open a door, let somebody else have the parking space, and you don't do it, you have to explain yourself. Why? It was just an act of kindness. So I think that's the part that we want it to be contagious, and where the union, Keith, what you're doing in Virginia, and everybody that's on this call and in the room, okay, we take the next step together, but we start with ourselves. Okay, so whatever you do in your day, you're already doing it. Just take an extra step a little bit more. I'm going to try to take an extra step a little bit more, and I'm trying that with the department. And I think I don't know how successful it will be. There might be some pushback. Oh, but I like doing it. I said, look, let's try it again. When I first got there at City College, we were a department of 5, 6. We were very tight. We had every meeting was at a restaurant, and Craig Polanowski, okay, came one time and said, hey, we were going to talk about certificates and degrees, whatever. And we met over, at a restaurant. And he said, do you guys do this regularly? And they go, yeah, we always eat lunch. Okay. But he said, it never happened, Craig, right? It never happened.
I'm listening. I just can't believe my ears.
Craig, absolutely, right? It's like, and I think
to the best of my knowledge, I have no memory of that incident.
But that's my point. And thank you for listening, and let me pontificate a little bit, but we're doing it. We are doing a good job. We can do better. And it's like kindness. We can always do better with kindness.
Yeah.
Sunny,
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, Sonny, you had your hand up, and then Rob had a story.
Yeah.
Love you, Mark.
Sonny. Thanks, Craig.
That was accidental, Keith, in Virginia, but well said, Mark. I agree with you.
All right. Thanks, man. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, when I first came to the school, I don't know if any of you know what the polymath personality type is exactly. It's a person that likes to study a topic to at least usually the bachelor level. So when I came out of school, I had 3 credentials to be an educator. One was math, one was business, one was technology. So I had professor friends here at City College that I met was coming through my first 2 years. And so I thought it was natural when I became a faculty to go meet my math friends, to go meet my business friends, meet my technology friends. And then I got this little kind of story told me after a while. They said, listen, Rob, it's nice for you to visit us as an old friend, but you're now faculty assigned to the applied technology department. And if you come over here and talk to us a lot, they might get the notion that you want to take one of our classes and take it into your budget. And so they tell me if we want to meet, we have to go meet in a restaurant. You can't just come visit us all the time.
Wow.
So that really kind of put me back in the applied area. And then I felt that there was a lot of siloing here, and then it was based upon budgets and money, because I did teach a math class, but believe me, they did not like that.
Yeah, to Mark's point, we saw this yesterday at Convocation. There's innovation grants, and they're asking us to do interdisciplinary things and work together across those boundaries. But it's kind of new, right? It's only like last 10 years-ish, right? And we can always do better. Yeah. So really quickly, some of this is a little bit old news, but we're back in negotiations this year, so we'll have new victories. So do you want to talk about CSEA's victories on here?
Yeah, so we kind of just rocked it this last contract season. Like I said, it was calling people out. Here's your $15 and you'll like it button.
You should be happy.
Oh, you should be happy.
Yeah.
Oh.
You want to tell that story? So for those people who don't know it.
Okay, so what happened was.
That's a perfect start. Thankful.
So we were in negotiations, and it was my team and then the district's team, and then Tyler a lot of things are being said. Tyler's like, and
Tyler's the chief negotiator.
Tyler is my chief negotiator, and he said something along the lines of, so you're only saying we should get a $15 increase to the premium that the district is paying. She goes, yes, and you should be thankful that we're giving this to you. And I just stopped. I looked at her, looked at everybody else. I was like, oh, hell no. Like, this is not going to be good, because my team, we're pretty savage. So once we reported out and stuff, and then I think we brought it to your attention. Yep. And then we're like, let's make buttons.
Yep.
We were going to do a button making party.
We did, yeah.
Passed him out, and we wore him to the next board meeting, and it says $15, be thankful, and it had like the district logo behind it. Oh my gosh.
Awesome. You should have seen their faces just.
Oh,
But that kind of goes back to.
there was some reprimanding on the backside. And so after that, it was just
That's
being read from a script, like, okay, well, this is sugar. Oh, it was so great. It was so great. But as you can tell in the photos as well, my hair used to be short, his was really, really long, and so we kind of transitioned ourselves as well.
The equalizer bars.
But also with that contract, we were able to not only increase the premium for us, and it's also going to increase by the cost of COLA. It's not that great this year, but 1.07 is better than zero. So we always try to look at the positive. So it will increase as well. We're not sure if the new premium amounts reflect the increase that, so we have to double check that. But we got our raises. We got 9.22% increase. We also got an off-schedule payment for, the next 3 years, and on-schedule payments, which is something that the district completely did not want for multiple years. So we have the 2.07% COLA for us. So that was really, really good. And then you guys.
Yeah, that was the first time CSEA had gotten anything above COLA in decades, right? It was always just COLA or less than COLA.
Yes, we were getting less. And then, again, Tyler's super freaking amazing. So what we did was like, okay, we confirmed that the district also gets COLA for not only our wages, but for our health insurance and our benefits. They said yes. And they're like, why haven't you been applying that to everything else? And so that's when we got them. And that's why you see the increase to all of our premiums for at least the next 3 years per our contract, to increase by the cost of COLA as well. We could not have done this without help from you guys, SCFT, because after hearing what we were saying, then you guys were going up and you're like, I can't be up here complaining that, I have too many kids in my class, or whatever the case that they were going to go and talk about, when you guys are over here trying to fight for like the bare necessities. So, we had time yielded to us. They were speaking up on our behalf. And I think this was the first time that the district actually saw how collaborative and united that we had become. We're still trying to get POA, but it still does.
Yeah.
But I think that we did really, really good, and it helped because of you guys. So
Yeah, and likewise, I mean, so you went kind of fast over that point, but it's worth pointing out. So because of the healthcare benefits that they managed to get, we got them too. So as soon as they signed their contract, then I waited a month, and I said, hey, by the way, do we have that too? Because, 50% law, you're kind of supposed to balance things out. You need to give it to us. And they were like, yeah, okay, fine. So we got a 10.13% increase to our healthcare premiums from the district too. And we hadn't gotten more than like 0.1% in increase ever. So if those of you who have been here since, before 2011, we used to have 100% benefits. And after that, it started to creep up, and then it's just ballooned. And now it's a substantial part of our income. So we've also got healthcare for half of our part-timers. Anybody that's teaching 7.5 LHE or more is going to be eligible for healthcare this year for the first time ever. That's a big deal. I'm going to tell one little story. My favorite board story recently is the one where I'm bald. So you can't see him, but you can see him up in the top left. That's the vice chancellor of whatever, Ed Services, right? Something, anyway. So Virginia had laryngitis. She could not talk. And this was when he was getting the permanent job. Okay. And I won't divulge any committee stuff, but there were some substantial concerns from the classified side over his treatment of classified staff. Specifically, if I remember correctly, Asian American staff, Asian American classified professionals, and their pronunciation of Spanish names. And so he was like yelling at them in
words, period.
Oh, words, period. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so you actually lost somebody, right? Didn't she leave?
One person just straight up quit. A few people transferred out. And instead of addressing him as the issue, they actually fired, I think, the manager who leaked some of the information, was trying to support the
I didn't know
classified.
about that.
That's a conversation we probably still have to have.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
anyway,
So,
I couldn't talk and I was like, brother, can you please say this? And so I tried at the very least saying, I can't talk. And then he came in and then, so he was sitting right behind
and I had no
us.
idea, brothers, I'm reading this off, completely trolling this dude who's on TV behind me. Nice.
Just saying that CSEA was not behind him. We had serious concerns. We did not want him to move
He's right there.
and stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
So I don't think he likes me anymore.
He doesn't like me anymore either. I don't know why.
And he still got approved that
You're
night.
saying.
He did.
Yeah.
Still got the job.
Oh, yeah, he still got the job.
There
Yeah,
were other people who also came and spoke, but yeah, right away, they just.
yeah, yeah.
There was some hesitancy, I do believe, when he was going forward, but he did end up going forward. Yeah, yeah. I think there was some hesitancy, but there, you know.
It's, so we don't win every fight, but I mean, there was a similar fight. So at CSEA's peak power event at the October board meeting, I mean, that was amazing. You had 64 people, I think, and families and kids and a sea of blue shirts. That was one of the times where we had brought like 20 people because there was a big issue. And some of our people were like, yeah, oh, Virginia can talk, Tyler can talk, we can wait, which was important. But I mean, at that meeting, there were tons of classified professionals and quite a bit of faculty there. And we managed to derail, get tabled, a brand new dean position. Yeah, that dean of nursing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So they just wanted to create this position out of whole cloth, doesn't exist, and then staff it right away. And we said, look, we have no problem with you creating a position and putting an interim, but we do have a problem with them both happening at the same time without any faculty input, without any classified input. And so we said, table it, stop. And we showed up in enough power that for the first time, I think ever, we had somebody removed off of the academic personnel transaction list.
Nice. Nice.
That
Yeah.
never happened before, as far as I can tell. And I've asked people who have been here for 30 years. They don't remember a time where somebody went, you know what, we're not going to appoint that person. So we can win.
So they already had somebody picked out, you're saying.
Yeah, they already had somebody picked out who left here in disgrace, by the way, previously, and who that entire department did not like.
Before
Yeah,
that.
previously. They wanted to bring him back.
Why does that happen?
Yeah, well, but it didn't. That's the important thing.
Why does it?
So, and now the nice thing is we have a position description, we have a committee, we're gonna do a search, and we're gonna do a proper hire. That's the way to do it. We never said kill the position, we said do it right.
Correct.
Yes,
Quick question about that. Is there enough faculty representation on that committee? Because I remember
Always.
that, okay, always, but I remember that was brought up in the Senate.
well, enough is
Yeah.
a floaty question. So we've caused a lot of trouble in committees. Yeah, oh no, we've straight up gotten called like racist and all kinds of stuff because we say like in an 11-person committee, there's one classified representative, one faculty representative, one classified Senate rep, and one faculty Senate rep. So there's 4 of us with an 11-person committee. But we represent 90% of the constituency, right? 90% of the employees within the district. And so we
We always meet our quota as
Yeah.
far as the guidelines say who needs to be there. We are always meeting that, but you're right. It's
Yeah.
always a little admin heavy for some of the bigger searches.
Well, and the reason that we've gotten called straight up racist is as I said in one of them, I can't remember which one now. I go, so our vote should count more. Like the 4 of us, because all 4 of us were against somebody, I can't remember
Oh,
who.
yes.
And I go,
Yeah.
how come our votes don't count more? We should have enough power because we have 3,300 people that we represent and you don't.
Between us, yes.
Yeah. And oh, they didn't like that. They really didn't like that. And they tried to get us to change our vote. They tried to, well, it would be nice if we were all unanimous and we're like, nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, thanks.
So, okay, we've only got a couple more minutes. Shared fights. We want to cast this out to you, but one of the things that we were talking about is the benefits office. And I want to be careful here. I really, really like the people who work in the benefits office. I do. I think they're good at their jobs. I think they're very knowledgeable, but that office is a disaster. That office is a disaster. You need at least 3 times the people.
Disaster in the sense that there's not enough people
There's not
to
enough staff.
staff. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah, no, they're very good at their
She's
job.
like,
They
I
are
love
over
Raina.
capacity.
She's my best friend.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
No, they're over capacity. So
Don't talk about my friend.
a collective action that we've been talking about is how do we begin to advocate for things that are not necessarily in one of our contracts? How do we advocate for things that will make this place better? And one of the things that will make this place better is increasing the amount of people who work in that office.
Right. So I actually got chastised once by a chancellor because it was one of the times that I went in on, I don't know, Frost, the Joint Communication Council. And
There were a lot of those, yeah.
I go in a lot on our upper admin. So rightfully so though.
Yeah.
So during when Chancellor came back and then she's just like, you stick to your SCFT stuff, you stick to your CSEA stuff. Can we at least agree on that? And I said, no, I'm always going to fight and argue on the side of what's right. There's no voice there. I'm going to be that voice. So I don't care if it's for just my people. I'm doing it for every single person. There is no boundary when it comes to me trying to do what's good because it is good. And so, yeah, one of the things is we lost our benefits technician during this last round in the sense that we gave up that position to be confidential. But if they're confidential, they're no longer bargaining unit members. So now that we don't have oversight, they're not my people, I still think they need more people to staff that office. So
Yeah.
those are some fights that, even though it may not be us specifically, I think it's still worth pointing out.
Yeah, and it's gonna help. I mean, because we have people who are trying to retire or asking questions about benefits and they go, what, Paul, 6-8 months sometimes without an answer. Yeah,
It's been pretty awful.
it's been pretty bad.
But here's what they come back with, and what they came back with, what they even said yesterday, right? What about the 50% law? It's a razor thin thing, so if we give anything to one side, we're off the 50%. And for me at least, I think that's something we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Because that's a wedge that's trying to divide us.
Oh, yeah.
You can't have anything because
if you do.
And that's always been the story, but like, oh, well, it's because of faculty. It's because of faculty. Well, no, it's not. It's because of this law. And it's this law that we need to advocate for and change, not anything else. So it's not you guys.
Yeah. Or even, I mean, the way around that is just to add more faculty, right? Add more faculty positions.
Well, on top of that, like chancellor, vice chancellor, they're all on our side of the non-instructional.
And
just like, oh, but continue giving yourself raises, even though we're on the wrong side of the.
Well, maybe don't create 14 more deans,
Bruh.
and a deputy chancellor. And give,
That's the one I like.
Give part-time.
Deputy chancellor.
Yeah, where did that come?
Yeah, I know. Leslie.
And then also Keith, remember you were mentioning we've lost a lot of full-time faculty, and how many did we go from adjunct side? Like how much?
yeah.
did you say?
So we used to have 1,500 part-time faculty. We have 2,200 part-time faculty. Yeah, and in the course of the pandemic, we've added, we've added half over again. So
Aren't counselors on our side?
yeah, counselors.
On
are
the non-instructional, but I'm like.
Because it's classroom only. Yeah. So. But
I don't understand, like in my department, we have 15 full-time people and like 60 part-time people.
yeah.
I don't know why they can't make those.
They're gonna say budget, but the rub on that is that there's $100 million reserve.
Right, which was 40 million in 2019.
Yeah, so the reserve is gone.
Should be a ratio of caps now.
No, we're actually legislatively arguing for that, but no, there isn't yet. What was your name? Becky.
My question was on that, it was like, is there any progress on fixing that CGT?
Yeah, we're looking at that at the state level. Yeah, so the state level unions are looking at that.
That requires the assembly,
It does.
Senate and the governor.
So that's actually something that the district wants to change as well. So it's going to be like one of the rare times where CSEA, SCFT, and the district all want the same thing.
Well, we have to look at it carefully because
Correct.
what we want for sure is no weakening of instruction and no weakening of the classified side and no greed given to admin.
Correct.
That's what we have to protect against. Leslie.
Oh, just the other half of that is, the part-time people don't have any say in anything.
No.
Like they don't get to vote on anything.
Yeah, it's department specific. So if you have a more equity-minded department. Yeah, so you always do, we always do, but it's department by department.
Yeah.
So really quickly, because we're running out of time. The other thing that I want to challenge us to advocate for, I have to be careful here because this is not actually a union meeting. FTA, 2 contract cycles ago, they were at 80-20 on their benefits. 80-20. And their last negotiation, they got 100% benefits back. 100% coverage. So,
Association?
yeah, President Teachers Association. So here's my question. Can't we?
Right.
Right on.
There's more of them than there are of us.
Yes, but not if we put us together. There are 3,500 of their members and there are 3,300 of us, if we put us together.
What are we talking about? Are you talking just Fresno City or are you talking?
No, entire district.
Yes.
Yeah. What else would you like us to advocate for? What else do you think, to come back to that initial question, would make this the place that you want to stay at until you retire?
I'm gonna go with something that she mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
I think she kind of lightly touched down on some part-time faculty are actually okay with that,
Okay, with what?
with being part-time,
Oh, yeah,
as long as
there's
it's,
nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
you know, like I get a full load and I could count on that.
Mhm.
But yeah, some of us might have problems with life that family or other obligations that make it where we don't know that we could do.
Well, yeah, I mean, not everybody has to be
They
part-time.
feel that way.
Oh, I see what you're
They
saying.
don't.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. You're told you can come to the meetings, you show up and they don't listen to you.
Right, or after you've been there a while, it starts to look
And
bad,
then
like
all
why aren't
these-
you moving
all
up?
these- And then all these committees that they have to be on, you can't be a part of them because you're not full-time, you're just.
Yeah,
And that's kind of the culture that makes it, the just word.
Yeah.
Always in there.
One of the things that, so we don't have time to talk about, but it's worth following up on. If you go to faculty, if you go to CFT's website, cft.org, you will find that for the last year and a half or so, we've been working on a single tier task force.
Yeah.
Which the idea of that is to basically find and redefine what tenure means, to where, yes, you can be 100% tenured, but you could also be tenured at 40%. So you have job security, you have benefits, you know what your wages are going to be year to year.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part. And
Yeah.
look, the devil is in the details, and we're trying to be very, very careful about this, and it's going to take us a while. But this is something at the state level that all of the CFT locals, all 27 of us, have been working on now for a little while, is how do we actually make it so our part-timers are
Yeah.
protected at the same level?
They've done it in Canada.
They've done it in Canada, yeah. It's not a unicorn.
And I hate
Yeah.
to say this, but part-timers, like, for example, at a business are treated better.
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes.
In the retail, and it's like, if you're not like
You're not,
because, yeah.
you're not a lesser human being just because
You do 8 hours a week versus,
Yeah.
something else, that your life when you're, especially if you're like a student, or like I said, you have family.
Absolutely.
Before everybody goes, please be sure to fill out your survey. Susie will kill me if I do not remind you.
Oh,
So
that's true.
please
Yes.
do that. And so it'll also let us know if we need to continue doing these types of presentations. If we need to elaborate on it, or
If
we
you want
need
us to do
some-
cosplay.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Virginia. Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, everybody, for
Thank
being
you.
here. Appreciate it. The slides will be available. I think the sign-in sheet is kind of.
Survey, is it electronic or is it paper survey?
Sign-in sheet. Sign-in sheet's back there. I don't know what survey. Okay. Have a good weekend.